My name is C.Leigh McInnis, and what I want to know is, can I kick it?
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Kick it.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
My name is C.Leigh McInnis, and I am a writer, and what I would like to say is that you can do whatever you want to do if you put your heart and mind to it. I chose my career not based on how much money I would make. I chose a career based on love. So many of my friends wanted to become something because they would make a lot of money, and I noticed that they ended up not being too happy. I knew that I always wanted to read and write. And when I realized somebody would actually pay me to read and write, would give me money to do what I love doing, then that was a no-brainer. Find a path that you love, and that will be a greater reward than how much money you make. If you really are talking about how to get the most out of your life, it has to be the notion of pursuing something that you love. I knew I wanted to be a writer because writing was my greatest release. I grew up in the Delta, grew up in the country, so the thing about growing up in the country and being an only child is I like being an only child, but in the country when you fight, so you're not just gonna fight Paul, you gotta fight Paul's brother, Paul's cousin. That's where we rolled in the country. So being an only child, it was always 3 or 4 against 1. So my only tool that I had is after I would get beat up, I would go in, and Westerns were real big when I was a kid. Lone Ranger, Rifleman. So what I would do is I would always write these stories, and so all the kids that made me mad or whom I was fighting, they would be the bad guys and I would be the good guys, and I would write these stories where I would put them in jail. And that gave me some power. That really gave me a form of getting even and getting back. And so it was at that moment I realized that writing could make me feel better. And when I was 9th grade, I had an English teacher who was, she was a great English teacher. And my father had given me this book, I never forget, it was called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And it was above my head. And so I went to my English teacher, and that book really kind of unnerved her. I remember her saying, well, there's some deep things in this book, and obviously your father wants you to know these things, but they're just not things I'm equipped to know. And she threw the book at me and ran down the hall. And I remember saying, I want to do that. I want to mess people up for a living. And so I realized at that moment how much power language had. And I realized that people who mastered language could master their circumstance. They could master any situation. So it was those 2 moments, and I knew that writing was the calling for me. I wanted to be able to right wrongs. I wanted to be able to look at things and go, this is not right. Not every writer does that, but that was just what I wanted to do. And I was inspired by other writers who would do that. People like Richard Wright, or people like Jerry Ward, or Columbia Salam, or Reginald Martin, or Charlie Braxton, or Amir Baraka, or Nikki Giovanni, or Toni Morrison, or James Baldwin. It was always about, I knew that writing could help me make a better world. As old folks, we know we dropped the ball. The ball has been dropped. The link in the chain has been severed. But what I can say to young people is, if you can hold on, and if you can understand that what you put in your mind is more powerful than what you put in your pocket. I can take from you what you put in your pocket. I can take from you your car. I can take your rims. I can take every physical thing from you. The only thing from you that I cannot take is your intelligence and your character. If you build your intelligence and you build your character, you will have a foundation that nothing can crash. There's a Grammy Award-winning, American Award-winning musical engineer living here in the Jackson metro area named Ron Carbo. And Ron and I always discuss the difference between being great and being famous. The emphasis that our young children are being given is that they want to be famous. We want it to be great. See, if there are a lot of famous people who are not really that talented. And most of the great people, people who are great painters, great sanitation workers, great engineers, great teachers, great whatever, are not really that famous. Because to be great means that you are not only mastering your craft, but you are also creating your craft in a way that it helps other people. So what I knew was, if I could have the freedom and opportunity to engage what I love, That's success. Success is not a check that I get. Success is not people knowing my name. Success is that I truly awake every morning pursuing my dream. I awake every morning, I get to do something with language every morning. And then secondly, I get to craft poems and short stories and essays that I hope will help people. At some point, you have to know that your life is what you make it. You have the power. You have the power to change. I know it doesn't look like you have the power. I know that everything around you may be crazy, but there's a song called the Corinthian Song. And it says that I am a vessel filled with power, with a treasure from the Lord. Every time you go through something difficult, I want you to say to yourself, I am a vessel filled with power, with a treasure from the Lord. I am a vessel filled with power, with a treasure from the Lord. If more young people knew that they were a vessel, this is your vessel, and your vessel is filled with power, and you have a gift, you have a treasure to the world. If you truly realize that what's in you, can be a blessing, can be a help to someone else, then you will not put poison in your body. You will not let somebody mistreat you. You will not let somebody have you doing something if you know. So every time you're going through something difficult, say to yourself, I'm a vessel filled with power, with a treasure for the world. The longer you stay in school, the more you educate yourself, you are widening your possibilities. If you leave school, you are leaving the things that give you possibility. The more you learn, the more, it's like building a house. You can't build a house with a hammer, a nail, and some woods. You can't. But think about the mansion you could build if you had more tools. Education gives you more tools. And if you leave school early, if you limit your education, you are limiting the tools you have to build the world. Langston Hughes said in a poem, I think I'll build me a world. I think I'll make me a world. The more knowledge you have allows you to make the world that you want to see exist. Your life is not controlled by other people. It's controlled by the decisions that you make. You have to think every day, with every decision you make, how does this help me to get to where you decide you want to be somewhere? You decide, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a professional athlete, I want to be a fashion designer, I want to be a carpenter. Then you have to ask yourself every day, right? Just like an athlete, if you say you want to be a professional athlete, you have to ask yourself, how will eating this hamburger with extra cheese get me to where I want to be? How will hanging out after curfew get me to where I want to be? How will smoking this weed, drinking this alcohol get me to where I want to be? That's life choices. Every choice that you make, you have to ask yourself, how will this choice help me to get in life where I want to be? You can be anything you want to be as long as you understand that happiness comes from inside by finding something you love doing and engaging that on a daily basis. You cannot allow this world to cause you to sell your dignity, because once you sell your dignity, you are selling, along with your knowledge, the most powerful element that you have.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can.